moment here. This is the moment, yeah. This is it. This is it. How you doing?
Some Africans I made mention were brought in as a result of tribal wars. The land we stand on belongs to the people, having given them place to stay, whether they were deceived or not. Africans making Alright, so the dungeon those days had no light. So once they were brought in there, the 3 holes that you see up there would provide them with light and also serve as their source of ventilation. The male dungeon is divided into 5 chambers. The first, second, third, fourth, down to the 5th one over there. Per the estimate we have in here, historically each room could hold almost 150 to 200 of them. So mathematically we are expecting about 700 to 1,000 humans in the 5 chambers. But then get to know they were raided, kidnapped, hunted through warfare, so the place wouldn't always be filled with captives. And as well, they were not all coming at the same time. You might end up here today, someone will probably end up a month before a ship actually comes to pick them. Once they were brought in here, they expect them to defecate, urinate, sleep, and as well sometimes eat in the same dungeon, of which a lot of them got sick. Because just these numbers in here, communicable disease easily would spread amongst us. Aside that, the unhygienic condition would add up to the illness. Cholera, malaria, fever, diarrhea, and others. If you were to die in the dungeon, get to know there wouldn't be any befitting burial for you. They will load the bodies in sacks, add cannonballs to give it weight, and dump all these bodies into the ocean. So the sea out there happens to be mass burial for most of the captives that died in here. If you look on the floor, you are to see some trenches or drainage systems here. They served as passage for waste to move out of this end into the sea. But then we ask ourselves, how often would it rain? And rainwater itself, if it was not that heavy, couldn't wash off the waste they had in here. Domestic captives would come in to clean the place. They were not doing that on a regular basis. Some of them might have stepped on their poop and other solid waste, making them stuck on the floor. So what they could get from this place, they do so. They cover the rest with sand, and over the years, it created layers in the dungeon. 1974, which happens to be the same year this castle was opened to the general public as a tourist site, we had some group of archaeologists from the University of Ghana. They came in, got this place excavated, discovered the bricks as the original floor of the dungeon. So samples were taken from this place to their lab, got them tested, and the results that came out proves that everything we work on from the second down to the last chamber, as well as the little portion they left over there, happens to be the toilet, the vomit, the sweat, the blood, the food particles. So things that humans are to excrete and get from their system. With sand, food, and blood is what you are going to work on in the other chambers. They left them unexcavated just to serve as a proof. So in case you don't believe, samples are all over, you could get to test as to whether they contain DNAs or not. Once a captive was brought into the dungeon, the expectation was that you stayed here minimum just a day, but the maximum you could stay in almost over 3 months. Because until ships were ready, you definitely wouldn't make it out of the walls of the castle. Out of the 5 rooms here, only this one had a gate, because those that were kept in this room mostly were seen to be the aggressive ones, and most often they were those that were kept in chains, to the extent that some even had their chains hooked to the walls, preventing them from fighting or probably strangling the officers when they were in to respect and bring them food. The male dungeon. Question, comment if you have any, you will let me know. If not, the rest please.
It's for us all.
So I made mention the first chamber was excavated, leaving the other 4, but in looking at where I stand, extending to the next chamber, to even where the gentleman stands, you could see some traces of bricks. And what it is telling us is that if we are to excavate this place, bricks should fill the whole space. So whatever that you stand on now happens to be the waste I made mention. I'm talking of the toilet, the vomit, and other stuff. If you look closely, you see the bricks on a straight line, telling us from the top of the bricks, everything up here happens to be the thickness of the waste. And it's been almost 190 years they've not used this place as a dungeon, but we still can get waste as thick as we see there. Just imagine the captive staying down here, how high the waste would have been. Please, I beg, the background noise, I beg. Yes. And the more softer they were, probably would produce heat and sickness in here. You join me in the last chair. Alright, so this section was also used for the sorting of the captives. Remember earlier I made mention before they were brought into the dungeons, they got them branded. So when ships were ready, they had to sort them. As well, not all of them were that fit to journey with them. So when ships were ready, those seen extremely weak were kept at the extension over there. The rest were grouped in chains. They walked them through a tunnel that connects this place to the door or the gate of no return. So you would enter the same way we came in, but then you had to use this place. Once the strong ones leave, the weaker ones were brought back. You heal, you join the next available ship, you die, you move into the sea. It's unfortunate we wouldn't go through the tunnel today, because in the year 1834, Captain George McLean, who was the then administrator or the president of the merchants, was asked to block this tunnel, symbolizing the English ending slavery here. The tunnel was blocked, but then practically others still got smuggled until 1860. And I'm saying 1860 all because historically, the last ship left Africa that was from Benin to Alabama 1860, which was the Clotilda ship. So telling us, though they had passed laws to end the trade, and illegally some still got smuggled. Blocking the tunnel they had here should also tell us this thing was not part of the dungeon system. Because if there should be an opening, it wouldn't be there to block them. But then the land we stand on was actually a sacred place for the natives. They worshipped a deity they call Tabil, which was in the form of a rock. But in giving the land out, they were asked to leave this place. So they took samples of the deity they worshipped to the town. The castle we see here was officially given to Ghanaians in 1960. That was when Ghana became a republican country, and then 1973 they brought the rocks back. So today, those that still believe in this system, they do come in here to worship. That is why we see famous tables for their prayers. The stools are there for them to sit when they come in for consultation or prayers. If you happen to be a Ghanaian, I'm sure you might have heard of the 77 deities of the Okwa people. Locally, they call them Abosun and Osonson. And out of these 77, the stone happens to be the leader or the number one of them. When you look over there, you'll see wreaths or flowers. They were brought in here by visitors of yourself. I made mention you die in here, the body moves into the sea. The day of the belief that their souls are still here. So we bring them, we don't litter around, rather places like this, we keep them to honor, respect, remember the dead. So when you see them anywhere, it's the same purpose. Question, comment, if you have any, you will let me know. If not, please to go this way. When you get to the third chamber, please report. All right, so we stand in front of a condemned cell, and the cell we see here was designed for the male captives. A lot of the Africans in here were warriors from their tribes, so once they were brought out of the dungeon, some would want to fight the officers, others also would want to escape from this place. In doing that, they were seen to be rebellious. So the rebellious ones had to be killed to deter others from escaping or fight them. In here, they wouldn't shoot them dead. Rather, in the presence of other captives, they got them beaten out there before they put them into the cell. 3 doors would block them. No food, no water, no air, and no light. So you get dehydrated, you suffocate, and then you die. But then the sad aspect is, let's say about 5 or 10 of them were sent in there. The soldier that will be assigned at the gate duty was to be sure all those in there were dead before the bodies move out. And nobody probably can stay in there for more than 2 days. With no food, with no air, you probably die in a day or 2. They lay the bodies on the floor, would bring out the males to see it, so that next time, if you also want to repeat the same thing, remembering what you saw on the floor will deter you from escaping or fight them. And I always say it was more of a psychological way to control the other captives in the dungeons. This space we see here was also a cell, but it was for the European soldiers. Some of them would move to the town, drinking, humanizing and others. So for them, they were punished here, they get air, be given food, but then after you've served your days, you go back to your normal duties. But the Africans went to the other chamber with 2 doors blocking them. We are moving in there, please get to watch your head coming in. The door that we see here happens to be the only original door we have left in this castle. So if we lose this door, that means any door or window you want to see has been restored. The last door now.
So it's how many years now?
Over 200 years. I can't give the exact, but I probably should be over 200 years. Because the castle from 1664 to date, 261 years.
200 years.
200 years.
Older than my grandparents. Oh, you know, about some just for you to have the experience, just for some few. Oh, come. It's okay.
Please, let's get moving.
You want dog? Inmates. How are you?
All right, so luckily for us today, there's no door here, no door in the middle. The first door itself open, but I'm sure we still feel the heat. So imagine with 1 or 2 doors blocking us, and like I said, until the last person was dead, nobody gets to leave this place. That is why today some even prefer calling this place the room or the cell of no return, because you enter as a living being and only dead bodies were to be taken out. The room we stand in actually was a storage chamber, including all the rooms that they had moving this way. But with the intention of using it as a condemned cell, that made them block the door that they had over there. And as well, added 2 extra doors. Once they were brought in here, you get no place to escape until you're dead. I wouldn't want anyone dying in here, so please.
Condemn cells.
First of all,
Crazy, dude. Wow.
Into domestic and commercial slaves, then the merchants in them get them exchanged with the gunpowder, mirrors, and other stuff they had over there. They moved them to the courtyard for them to be branded with the heated metal. So that was actually the market. It was within that same room where some 8 coastal chiefs also met with Commander Hill, Captain George McLean, and some 2 other English officials to sign the Bond of 1844, which was the same bond that laid foundation for our organization for 130 years. Everything in that room has been restored. The floors, the ceilings, the doors and windows, just that we try to maintain the old design they had there. So if you want to have a look in there, please, you just have a quick look, you all move out and move to the governor's residence. If you don't want to have a look too, and please, the rails are not safe, so don't lean on them. Say a good trouble man. The only thing I can say is
will vanish.
yes. Alright, so this section of the castle was the barracks for the soldiers. The soldiers stayed over there. They used the middle as their canteen. George McLean, the man I made mention from the tunnel, actually introduced us to the way the Europeans settled this place. So the first western port established on our land happens to be the room stretching from where the gate is in the sense to the street. So this whole place was the port room, which was introduced around 1840s. Around that same time, they got this place converted into a prison. So once we were tried here and we found guilty, they moved you straight into the prison. And there was a prison from 1840s until 1992. That is about 33 years ago. The prison was moved from this place to Nkhrumah. And now you can see a crack shop. So it's first the garrison became a prison. Today we are seeing a crack shop. The middle part, which was the canteen for the soldiers, today serves as a coffee shop. So it still serves the same purpose. The trade or business here was very profitable. I'm talking of the human trafficking aspect and the gold or ivory trade. So if you had a place and you don't protect your end, other Europeans were also willing to fight and take over. So the castle we see here was built by the English, and the land itself had been used by 4 different groups before the English came in. Portuguese were the first settlers here. They built the Elmina Castle, of which at a point a section of the Portuguese merchant came in. They built a timber lodge, stayed here for almost 100 years until the Dutch got them at Elmina. So they left Elmina, later they abandoned this place. When the Portuguese left, the Swedish took over. The Swedish built a fort here. They stayed in the fort for about 5 years. Danish came in for the Swedish. Danish stayed here for about 2 years. The Dutch came in for the Danish. Dutch stayed in for 3 years, and the English also for the Dutch. So when the English took over, they expanded the Swedish fort into a castle, and they stayed here for 296 years. The English knew enemies would come fight them, so they were fully prepared to protect their gains. That is why they brought the weapons, the cannons surrounding the castle. Aside these cannons, they built 2 forts to serve as a watch tower. So if you look up on the hill, you see one of the forts over there, the white building with the red cap. That is called Fort William, and William was on the east. Behind the Anglican church over there, there's one called Victoria. So Victoria on the west and William on the east. Soldiers up there will see any group coming from the land and any ship from the sea. When they do so, they signal those in here in the morning by waving flags. In the afternoon, they use the reflection of mirrors, and evenings they use torches, indicating enemies approaching. So the soldiers will get to the cannons, put in gunpowder, place the balls at the mouth, light the match, and a series of balls will enter the enemy-shaped water basin. That helped the English surviving for the 296 years war in this area, because they came to this plot 1664 and they left 1960. That was when Ghana became a republican country. But before even coming here, they had already built the Nkhrumah fort, which means they had stayed here for almost 20 years before even coming to this. Everything you walk on. We've all been to the dungeon and we saw the condition there. So up here, just compare what you saw there to what you are seeing here. The type of vents the cartridge has, towards the ground are here. The grace coming in, the trees down there, the lighting system, the darkness there, the space. Aside having this space as the living room, we have over there. So let's see. The Anglican church. Walking in and out of the church, I said you smell, you hear, and get to see everything happening down there. So that is the hole we saw at the third chamber. And surprisingly, this is not the only place they were having churches about like almost all the castles had the same system. And talking of traditional churches that we have in Ghana, this is where the Anglican Church of Ghana started. Wesley Methodist of Ghana at this same castle, the forecourt. You visit Elmina Castle right above their slave market. They had a Kali Church. The Dutch took over Elmina Castle, built their Reformed church above the female dungeons. Osu is where they also had the Presbyterian church. Until later, they were moved to the town. And I always do say that Europeans that came in the early days were not in or didn't bring the Christianity aspect for the African salvation. Rather, it was one of the tools that they used to enslave. Because if you read most of the letters that their kings were even writing to them when they came in here, they tell them they were not looking for salvation. A typical example is the letter that King Leopold from Belgium brought to Congo. He stated in there that they were on a mission. And the mission is not for the African salvation. Rather, whatever that was in the Bible, the Africans already knew it. And the same thing they know, we use that same thing to deceive them. So you tell them this, you show them that. That is why when they came, they told that Jesus was the black man by the description. But then when they were giving us the picture of Jesus, we got the white Jesus. The same way they told them Angel Michael, Angel Gabriel, and others were white. How come Lucifer was an archangel and his group became black? So definitely told them black, but you know where he stand. As well, they made the Africans, both enslaved and the free ones, believe that as an African, for you to make it to heaven, it was only the poor and the meek that go to heaven. All because once you are poor and weak, you can easily be influenced and as well be controlled. Because once you are poor, you go to them to beg, and once you are weak, you take advantage of them. As well, if you also check some of the things that they were giving here, they made it sink into our minds that when you see the white man, you are had seen God. That is why even in Ghana, first we used to say when you're going to church and you see a white man, just go to sing God. They say, "Popa, sorry, now we shall be here. Sign coffee was what she had. That is one. And I always say myself, I was born into a Christian home, still a Christian, but the truth of the matter is Christianity was never introduced to us for salvation. Even in the Americas, it is written that they made some of the Africans actually believe that you're not even supposed to wear shoes. Because when you die, proper shoes are made for you in heaven. And through that, they'll be wearing the shoes in heaven, on earth, and once more when they go to heaven, they wear the same. So it's like the system was just in just to deceive the Africans. And today, it is still operating. At a point, this same place became a school. The school was for the mixed race, the kids they had with the blacks. Today, it serves as a library for the community. So it's no longer a school, nor a church. Yes. Excavated, left only 4 graves because we were the only ones that had markings of those buried at the night. Out of the 4 graves, the one being separated happens to be the only African buried around the name Philip. Originally, he was a Ejiri from this land. His father actually was one of the middlemen that was taken captive to the castle. So the role of that man was his son's scholarship. Kweku was taken to England at the age of 11. England, he was baptized into the Anglican faith, so they gave him the name Philip, and his name Kweku also was anglicized to Kwame. That made him Philip Kwame. Age 24, he became the first black man to be ordained as an Anglican priest after completing Oxford University as a theologist. They brought him back to this place. So right up in the church, he was serving whilst others stayed in it. He served the castle for almost 15 years. The role that he played in the castle got him the in Ghana, Philip is well known for Western education. Because he said at a point, treatment was in the castle was very poor. So mostly in the town, he was found commencing to feed himself. Through that, he taught the natives how to read and write English language. That is why here in Ghana, when you talk of the Western education, most of the have to. So the first basic school that was built outside the castle is about 7 minutes away from this. As you see this one. Age 75, 18, 16, right? The first one there is by name C.B. Whitehead. The Whitehead, I don't know what happened to him. As of today, some do say he was shot by a Dutchman, others do say malaria killed him. He was 38 when he died 18. The middle is a lady, Letitia Elizabeth Landon. Landon came in to visit the husband, and barely 2 months, she was found dead in the husband's room. Some do say she poisoned herself or she got to know the husband or some African mistress. Others do say the mistress rather came to the castle post-day, got her poison, and some do say she had malaria. So as it stands, we don't know what actually killed her. She was 36 when she died 1838. And the last one here is the husband, very popular in the Chinese, the name George McLean. I made mention McLean was the one that blocked the tunnel connecting the field chamber to the government tank. Up there I made mention he was part of those that signed the bond of 1844. Actually, he was even the one that designed the bond itself. And if you look up over there, you see his name only up there as the McLean. Because I said he was the one that introduced us to the Western world. Age 46, malaria confirmed killed in 1847. So 46, 36, 38, 70. And most of them too, they were dying because of the tropical diseases. You know, malaria, and others. Some of them thought, when they came, the Africans got used to these drinks they came into the bottles. So they thought the alcohol was rather healing them. So most of them was alcohol, which as well was killing them. I made mention is the tunnel connecting them to the government tent. So the wall that you are seeing here happens to be an underground tunnel. So the captives will exit from this point. Just as the entrance was blocked 1834, the same date, the exit also got blocked 1834. The males would walk out this way, join the fields and come up in the places. This was actually a female punishment cell. I made mention that some of the females were selected to be raped, and if you were brave enough, rape as a rape, sleep with them. And if you were brave enough to fight back, he probably had to keep you in here for some days just to get a change of mind, so that next time if they come back to pick you, you would avail yourself. But then not all of them were willing to stay in because the dungeon itself was not easy for them not to isolate and bring them. Once you avail yourself, they move you upstairs, wash you and take you to bed. After being raped, they were brought back to the dungeons. Some of the females who are pregnant, once they see you pregnant, they take you from the dungeons because you are carrying a baby. They take care of you so you give birth. Mother is allowed to take care of the baby for some months until mother and babies are all seen fit. That is where the separation comes in. Mother is brought back for the nurse to take care of the babies. But then the babies were for them, so the babies they keep them, and mostly nannies will take care of them. The nannies were the domestic females that they had here, so that when the kids grow, they would bring them to the churches. So remember I said they brought some kids there. During and as well after the trade, some left this place, others also stayed here. That is why here in Ghana, if you mostly check the coastal zones, they have a lot of European surnames. So Accra, Volta region, you get names like Morgan, Van der Boy, Van Dyke, Will, Wolf, and others. Yes, what is big. You come to Central region, to Western, you get names like Smith, William, Wilberforce, Van Dyke, and others. So, we now have a bigger door, all because just as I was saying, this place became the capital city and the castle was the administrative quarters. So that made them expand the door until 1877 that they made the city Accra. Africans that exited from this door never returned back. Walking out of this place means you lose your right as a human being, you lose your connection with your people, and also get to lose your identity as an African. Whilst the Africans were using the door or gate of no return there, the soldiers would choose this bigger door. They meet them here, canoes would pick them and move them into bigger ships. But in moving them from the shores to the bigger ships, not all the captives wanted to journey with them, so some of them were jumping into the sea to commit suicide. And probably I wanted to jump, but then he was not. Once we were in chains, if I jumped, there was the possibility of pulling others with me, or maybe we die together. We make it to the bigger ship, that is where they got them the head, tail before they were transported. Historically, the largest number made it to Brazil. As that is in the southern part of the Americas. Some were taken to Argentina, Colombia, and others, to the Caribbean lands, Haiti, Jamaica, Cuba, Tobago, Suriname, and others, and some went up north, mostly to the eastern section of US of A. Florida, North, South Carolina, Mississippi, Virginia, New York, and others, and some were taken to Europe. Europe to England had the highest number, France, Netherlands, Denmark, Portugal, Spain, and today we get to see blacks and spread all over. This whole place had the name European's Beach. Those days, it was forbidden to see a black person, so the place was called European's Beach. Today, it happens to be a fishing village, but the name is still maintained. We call this area Abrofu Nkhrumah, which translates the same thing as European's Beach. Just at the flip of the no return, we have the door of return, telling us that we are all to return back to where we came from. We had this door in the year 1998. That was when we celebrated our first Emancipation Day. We call it the Big or Great Homecoming Day. Descendants of those that survived the journey were asked to come home, interact and fill their lands again. The living never came alone, rather they brought in two mortal remains to represent them. So from the Caribbean, they got that of Madam Crystal from Jamaica, and from the Americans, they got that of Samuel Carlson from New York. Remains in Ghana were first taken to Abanzi, where they have Fort Amsterdam. They then had to use the Atlantic Ocean through the same door or gate of no return, breaking the chains and the chain that said no slave will return back. And in the same way they took them out of the castle, the same way they brought them back. And that made us change the name to the door of return. They performed rituals for the dead and remembered not all that came out of this castle were Ghanaians. Some were from present-day Nigeria, Togo, Burkina, even some came from the center, the eastern and southern part of Africa as well. Even if they were from Ghana, all of them were not from the same tribe. But the majority of them used Asin Manso, where they took their life back. So they sent the remains over there. You visit that place, the grave of Crystal and Carlson rest peacefully over there. Recently, we had one from Barbados, so now there are 3. Jamaica, New York, and Barbados. You see them at where the numbers. Question?
You get back.
I get back.
Yes.
And before you go back, before you get back, that's another. Down to this part of the forest, you walk 455 meters. You are going to take a normal walk on the Kakum Canopy walkway. So you have 8 in all, but you cannot walk on all the 8. Either you take the 2 or you take the 7. As soon as you get on it, you hear this sound. Part of it. Be positive minded, believe in yourself, then we walk. If you want to take picture with your phone, you hold the phone very well. No jumping, no shaking, no running. Just need to take a normal walk. So after you're done with this and you don't want to go again, you go your left hand side, you do additional 1, making 2. If you want to go again, you go on your right hand side, making 7. So at this point, if you have any question, you ask no question then.
Can you repeat that in terms of which way to go?
Okay, if you're not going again after.
Father's Day, y'all. What up? What up? Canopy walk. You know what I mean?
I'm waiting for you, you come.
Fall rock in the building.
I'm waiting for you.
No fear. Just live life.
Yeah.
That's it, man.
Yeah.
Live this thing we call life one time. You know what I mean? Live it to the fullest. Yo, I'm recording from my phone because my GoPro, the battery, something wrong with it. So I'm recording like this. But check this out, y'all. This is crazy. This is insane. Brother Isaac right here, he's guiding me safely. He said this has been up for how long now?
30 years, no accidents, no casualties.
30 years, yes. No accidents, no casualties. Look how far I am. Trying to hold my phone tightly as possible. Look at that. Sheesh. Look at that, y'all. Live life. Live life. All right, I'll holler at y'all at the end. Peace.
First leaf that come up before the leaves come up. So,
okay.
Yes, that will protect the leaves.
Okay.
Yes.
Got you. Okay. So I came from up there, as in now heading down here, and we got some more to do. I'll holler at y'all. It's been accepted. Come on, he don't know who I be. Come on, baby. All rock, New York in the house. No hands. Look, Ma, no hands. Come on. Come on. I'll moonwalk on you. I'll Mike Jackson on you.
Nice one, nice
Come on, man.
one, nice one.
A Libra, baby. We do the balance. You heard?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Prison?
Oh, yeah. This one.
Oh. That's a prison, yeah?
If they see you take a picture or video.
Wow.
So,
peace and blessings to the family. Peace and blessings. Still day 3. What was supposed to be a 12-hour excursion turned into a 17-hour, and that was because of traffic going with the unpaved, potholed road, as well as coming back and traffic and blockage. It was just bananas. Aside from that, shout out to the driver, Elliot, the tour guide, my private driver, for getting me there safely and bringing me back to the hotel safely despite those wicked roads and traffic. It was crazy. So aside from that, I had an amazing time. You know, started off going to the Slave River, which is going to be a separate video within itself. It's very long, should be like 40 minutes. Brother breaks it down, you know what I mean? Had to walk barefoot. For those who know me, I wear socks. The only time I'm barefoot is in that shower. That's it. Any other time I'm wearing socks, you know what I mean? But anyway, I had to walk barefoot as a symbolism to what the ancestors had to go through, that long walk from up north or west all the way to Accra with chains and a ball on their feet, barefoot. It's crazy, it's crazy. And for me to do that, that was very significant within itself. Then after that, we went to Kakum Park, National Park, where I walked the canopy. You know what I mean? Then after that, made our way to Cape Coast to see the slave dungeon and whatnot. Crazy. That right there is going to be a whole separate piece within itself as well. You know what I mean? But I just got in not too long ago. Just got out of the shower. I did not eat all day. I don't like to, like a long day excursion, can't eat because I don't want to, you know what I mean? Bathroom and all that other stuff. So I didn't eat all day. Drunk a few liquids, water, and I'm about to bust this food down from KFC that I got and upload my stuff on Instagram. But thank y'all again for watching, liking, commenting, whatever. I have my last excursion tomorrow. You'll check it out, whatever. Then after that, I'll leave Tuesday. So I still got one more full day here in this beautiful, hot, lovely, rich, culturally rich country of Ghana. And yeah, just explore, loving it. I'll holla at y'all. Peace. Peace and blessings to the family. Peace and blessings to the family. Today, day 4, last full day. Last full day here in Ghana. It is 9 o'clock. I'm getting ready to go on a city tour. Check out the museums. Well, y'all see it. You know what I mean? Check out the museums, other places, or what have you. And then today, when I come back, I'm definitely gonna hit up that pool that I haven't touched yet because I've been so busy since I landed. You know what I mean? And then after that, just relax and chill. I got an early morning flight tomorrow back. You know what I mean? Quickly, more than likely I won't be recording. I'll try. I won't be recording this session because I don't like recording on my phone. You know what I mean? For some reason, my GoPro batteries, they are swelling up. You know what I mean? And one got stuck into the camera. I had to take a flathead screwdriver and pop it open and all that stuff. Craziness. So I don't want to damage my GoPro. So I'm gonna have to replace these batteries. So I might record this way, whatever, and insert it into the YouTube. If not, it is what it is. Once again, thank y'all again for liking, subscribing, watching, doing all of that good old stuff. You know what I mean? Showing support and whatnot. But again, once again, happy Men's Mental Health Month. Yesterday was Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. And my birthday joint soon, 3 more months. I got a lot of things planned. Fire. But we'll get into that another time. But I'll holla at y'all. Y'all take care. I'm about to do this tour. It's nice out, so I haven't gotten a chance to do my drone because when I went on my excursion Saturday, raining. Yesterday, it was just craziness. Couldn't do it. So hopefully today I can throw my drone up and see what's up. All right, y'all. Peace out.
Soundstripe. Soundstripe.